So I wanted to take a moment and share with everybody a test that I did on my most recent piece. I not only designed this piece to be aesthetic, but also functional. And that's something that you'll read within my art statement, as well as the inspiration for the imagery itself. But because it's a functional piece, I wanted to show everybody what it's capable of doing. Since the piece itself is primarily made out of wild clay, it has hygroscopic properties. And because of that, I wanted to show what impact it has in one of the more humid places in the house. So I decided to do it with our bathroom. The bathroom itself is not very big, so it is something that it quickly gets very humid even when you have the exhaust on. So since this was just a test, I was just putting my piece in there in a temporary way, so I did not install it on the wall. However, I did design this piece where you could have it on the floor just resting on a wall. This is not something that has to be installed. So I did do my test with the exhaust on, with the slab in and without the slab in. This was 2 separate days where I took roughly the same time frame of shower by doing the same thing, which was my shampoo day. That tends to be one of my longer showers. And within a couple of days before me starting the test, I did tracked the humidity of the bathroom to basically kind of get an average of what the humidity is on a neutral level. And it ends up being roughly on average about 35 to 40 as far as like what it's read on the meter. I'm putting the 2 footages side to side so you can see the comparison, and hopefully you can see some of the humidity when it starts building up. And then in the other one, as you can see, when the slab is in, the humidity doesn't really show up at all except for around the meter, which my theory is that is just probably due to lack of airflow on that particular section, or possibly the type of metal of the meter itself kind of like attracts more of the moisture around there. But as you can see on the rest of the mirror, the condensation never shows up. Although I don't include it in the footage, I did test this without having the air vent on, and the mirror was almost just as clear. There was just a teeny tiny bit of condensation on there, but honestly, it was like night and day. I kind of hated that I did not take footage of this, but to be honest, like, I don't think it's necessary. The point was really to just show the way that a normal person would use the bathroom with the exhaust on when there is an exhaust, and then just show you the difference between not having the clay piece inside as opposed to having it inside. One thing that I did notice was after the shower, when the piece was inside, the sheen from the snake itself was matte. Since I did do the sheen part without being treated as Cadillac, I did have a small nervous moment where I thought maybe the sheen was completely gone forever, but no, luckily after a couple hours went by, that came right back. The interesting part was, which I'm not quite sure why, and hopefully someone can let me know, but my theory is it's just the condensation around the meter ended up being just collecting there when the piece was inside of the bathroom. But for some reason, the humidity read a little higher on that time as opposed to the time that I did it without the slab inside. But I think the mirror doesn't lie when it shows you that like there is no condensation when I have the slab in. And to me, that's proof enough to say that art can be more than just aesthetics.